Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into the wildest story in surfing history, from its sacred roots in Hawaii to the water monsters unleashed in Nazaré. We'll pass through Olympic legends who surf with vertigo, discover why they almost wiped out this sport entirely, and end up face to face with one of nature's most brutal forces. Get comfortable, breathe, and let me guide you through this adventure of water, fire, and adrenaline. In the crystal-clear waters of Hawaii, thousands of years ago, surfing wasn't a sport. It was magic. It was religion. Ancient Hawaiians believed the ocean was sacred, that its waves were messages from the sea gods. Before entering the water, they prayed. Before building a board, they'd cut down a tree and leave a fish as an offering in the hole left by the trunk. It was an act of devotion so profound that only chiefs and warriors could master these waters. The boards of leaders measured up to 5 meters, weighed 70 kilos, and were made from koa wood, the most sacred. Surfing was power. Surfing was honor. And for centuries, it stayed that way. Then Captain Cook arrived, and with him came the end. European missionaries looked at Hawaiian waves with horror. They saw men and women naked, laughing, defying the sea without guilt, without shame. They called it immoral, demonic, and they banned it. For over 100 years, surfing was a crime. It was nearly murdered entirely. Only a handful of Hawaiians, risking their lives, kept surfing in secret, on forgotten beaches, passing down the tradition like a whisper in the night. But then a man was born who would change everything. His name was Duke Kahanamoku Kahanamoku. His father named him Duke in honor of the Duke of Edinburgh, who happened to be passing through Hawaii when he was born. And Duke, well, Duke became a legend. It was 1912, the Stockholm Olympic Games. A 22-year-old Hawaiian boy jumped in the pool and won 2 gold medals in swimming. He'd go on to win 3 more, 5 Olympic medals between 1912 and 1924. He was a sprinter, an idol, a star. But Duke wasn't just an athlete, he was a surfer. And he carried a board that weighed 52 kilos, measured almost 5 meters, and had no fin because no one had invented fins yet. Once he rode a wave for 1,800 meters at Waikiki. 1,800 meters, the longest recorded ride in modern history. Imagine that, almost 2 kilometers down the face of a wave, never falling, pure balance, pure gravity, pure instinct. Duke did it like breathing. In 1914, he traveled to Australia, to Freshwater Beach in Sydney. He grabbed his board, went into the water, and showed Australians what surfing was. That board still sits there, at the Freshwater Surf Club, like a holy relic, a symbol of the exact moment the world discovered surfing. But here's where it gets wild. Duke didn't just surf. He was also an Olympic champion, a Hollywood actor, sheriff of Honolulu for 29 years, re-elected 13 times. He played the ukulele, and in 1925, he rescued 8 people from a capsizing ship using his surfboard. The police chief called him the most superhuman rescuer ever seen with a board in his hands. When Hawaii became a state in 1959, they named him official ambassador of Aloha. One man, a total legend. Duke and his Hawaiian friends reclaimed the waves. In 1908, white settlers had opened the Outrigger Club, whites only. Duke responded by creating Hui Nalu, the Wave Club, open to all races. Hawaiians took back control. The water became theirs again. The spirit of surfing, which nearly died in a century, rose again. Now, what exactly happens when you drop into a 30-meter wave? because this is where physics gets brutal. Most people think speed comes from paddling, from momentum, from your strength. But it doesn't. Speed comes from gravity. You're literally falling. You're sliding down a water slope like it's a cement hill. A 20-meter wave can launch you to 70 kilometers per hour. A 30-meter one, much faster. It's free fall. It's a mountain of water crumbling beneath your feet. Wave energy travels thousands of kilometers across the ocean without losing a shred of power, traveling from storms in the North Atlantic until it hits the coast 5 days later. Invisible, unstoppable, carrying the ocean's fury. And there's one maneuver, the most sought after, the most beautiful, the most dangerous, the barrel, the tube. It's when the wave's crest outpaces the base and rolls over itself, creating a water cave where the surfer can disappear inside. It's the dream. It's also where people vanish. Because inside a tube, if something fails, if you lose the line, the wave closes on you with a ton of water. In Portugal, in a quiet fishing village called Nazaré, something happens that breaks everything you think you know about waves. Nazaré has a normal beach. Beautiful, peaceful, picturesque. But north of the lighthouse, at Praia do Norte, the ocean goes insane. Waves don't just break, they explode. They grow to heights that seem impossible. 100 feet, 120 feet, 130 feet. Water monsters born from nothing. The secrets underneath. Below the surface exists the Nazare Canyon, Europe's largest underwater canyon. 160 kilometers long, 4,500 meters deep. It works like a giant funnel. All the Atlantic swell energy concentrates toward one point. Waves from the canyon bottom travel faster than those at the surface. They collide with waves coming from the northwest, and you create a collision of titans. It's like the ocean built a wave pool, filled it with fury, and uncorked it at that one spot on the planet. In 2020, a German surfer named Sebastian Steudtner rode a wave of 26 meters and 21 centimeters. Official record. But here's the incredible part. Steudtner has vertigo, severe vertigo. Every time he paddles into a wave at Nazaré, he's conquering the visceral fear his own brain imposes on him. Imagine that. You're going 80 kilometers per hour down a face of water, knowing that if you fall, it's like a car crash, and your mind is screaming at you to get down. Don't look down. This isn't natural. He wears a suit with integrated airbags. If he falls, the airbag inflates in milliseconds to help push him toward the surface before the next wave hits. In 2024, he probably broke his own record with a 28.5-meter wave, but official confirmation is still pending. Maya Gabeira, a Brazilian, holds the women's record, 22 meters and 40 centimeters. She was the first woman to ride a mega wave at Nazaré. A decade ago, a woman being there was unthinkable. Garrett McNamara put Nazaré on the map in 2011, invited by a local bodyboarder who believed something special was in those waters. He was right. Nazaré became the mecca of big wave surfing, the place where the craziest surfers on the planet come to face the impossible. The numbers are mind-blowing. Today, there are 2,800,000 surfers in California alone. 2,800,000. In the 20s, there were fewer than 30 in the whole state. The biggest wave ever recorded, by the way, was never surfed. It was at Lituya Bay, Alaska, in 1958. An earthquake caused a water wall 524 meters high that destroyed everything. 5 times the height of the Statue of Liberty. It just disappeared. And there are killer waves, waves that appear from nowhere in open ocean, rogue waves, double or triple the height of surrounding waves, with no earthquake to explain them. Nature being incomprehensible. In 2028, surfing returns as an Olympic sport in Los Angeles. It'll be the third time in history. From Hawaiian sacred ritual to mass Olympic sport. From near extinction to 2,800,000 souls paddling toward the horizon. So when you see someone surfing, when you see that image of a small board on the face of a giant wave, remember you're looking at thousands of years of history. You're looking at the missionaries who tried to kill this, at Duke who resurrected it, at Steudtner conquering his own vertigo, at the physics of the universe turning gravity into freedom. Surfing was born as a whisper to the gods. It was silenced by fear. It was resurrected by legends. And now it lives in every wave that breaks in every corner of the planet, reminding us that the impossible exists, that nature is still stronger than us, and that sometimes the best way to understand the universe is to ride a wave and simply feel.